Welcome to the 1 Hour Guide by Anil Nathu. Today, we're diving into Miriam O'Callahan's book on decision intelligence. It's called Decision Intelligence, Human-Machine Integration for Decision Making. And thankfully, we have a great 1 Hour Guide to help us really pull out the important stuff.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, it's such a hot topic right now. Everyone is talking about AI, machine learning, and making decisions in this crazy complex world we live in. So, how do we as individuals and as organizations navigate all this and make sure the decisions we're making are the best ones? Well, hopefully this deep dive will help us figure that out.
For sure. I think that's what really stood out to me in this 1 hour guide by Anil Nathu. He talks about how we can blend our human intuition, our gut feelings, with the power of all this machine intelligence.
Right, the best of both worlds.
Yeah. And the book argues that that combination is really what's going to help us get ahead.
Absolutely, I'm with you on that. It's not about just handing over the reins to machines. It's about
Yeah.
a partnership. Okay, so let's jump right into it. Let's start with the basics. What actually is decision intelligence?
So the 1 hour guide by Anil Nathu defines DI, decision intelligence, as a field that brings together a bunch of different disciplines: data science, social science, and decision theory. But what really makes it tick is that it leverages AI, machine learning, and automation to improve human decision-making. It's about creating a really structured approach to making decisions, one that's solidly backed by data.
So it's not just gut feeling anymore.
Not terrible.
It's about incorporating all that data we have available to us. And the guide also mentions how DI has kind of evolved over time, right?
Oh, absolutely. It's been a fascinating journey. The guide walks us through how we started with this more traditional decision science approach, where a lot of the emphasis was on human analysis. Then we entered the age of big data, where we could leverage those massive data sets to make predictions. And now we've arrived at this AI-powered decision intelligence era. The shift wasn't just about the amount of data, but also about how we could process and analyze it.
Yeah, the machines really help us sift through the noise, huh?
Exactly. They see patterns and trends that we as humans just couldn't pick up on quickly enough. This has opened up a whole new world of possibilities, from automation to real-time decision-making.
So in a business context, why is this DI approach so important?
I mean, think about it. The amount of data out there is exploding, and the pace of change in business is just incredible. DI helps us make sense of all that complexity, sift through that data mountain, and identify the truly important trends, those potential dangers hiding in plain sight, and maybe even those game-changing opportunities that we might otherwise miss.
Okay, so it's about seeing the bigger picture, but faster, right?
Exactly. And then there's scenario analysis, which is basically testing out different decisions virtually before you commit to them. You get to kind of peek into the future.
That sounds useful. And I'd imagine that all this data helps mitigate some of our human biases when we're making decisions.
That's a huge point that the guide really hits on. We as humans, well, we have a lot of cognitive biases, like that confirmation bias where we look for information that supports what we already believe. By grounding decisions in objective data, DI helps us sidestep those pitfalls.
Makes sense. More rational choices, better outcomes.
Right. And those better outcomes can manifest in tons of ways. Smoother operations, managing risks smarter, making decisions that really put your customers first. It touches everything.
Okay, so let's talk about the process itself. How do you actually go about putting DI into action? The 1 Hour Guide by Anil Nathu breaks it down.
Yeah, does a great job of that. First, it talks about different types of business decisions. There are strategic decisions, those big picture, long-term choices. Then operational decisions, like the everyday stuff that keeps your business running. And tactical decisions, which fall somewhere in between. DI can be applied across all these levels.
I see. So different strokes for different folks.
Right. And then the guide lays out a 5-step process. Step 1, you have to clearly define the problem you're tackling. Step 2 is gathering all the necessary data, internal data, external data, the whole shebang. Step 3 is the analysis phase, where you leverage your analytical models and AI to understand your options. Step 4, the decision is made based on those insights. And finally, Step 5, you implement and continuously monitor how the decision is playing out.
So it's not just about making the call, it's about constantly refining it based on the data that comes in.
Precisely. It's a very adaptable approach.
Now, the guide also talks about different ways that DI can be implemented, from just a little bit of assistance to full-on automation. Can you walk us through that spectrum?
Sure. The guide highlights 4 levels of implementation. You have decision assistance, where AI provides recommendations, things like chatbots or data dashboards. Then there's decision support, which offers deeper insights and predictive models. Tools like business intelligence platforms fall into this category. Then you move up to decision augmentation, where AI becomes a bigger part of the human decision-making process. This is where you see things like AI-assisted medical diagnoses or fraud detection systems. And finally, you have decision automation, where entire processes are run by AI. Things like automated trading systems or those complex supply chain optimization algorithms.
So it's like a sliding scale of AI involvement.
Yeah, exactly. You can choose the level that best suits your organization's needs and the complexity of the decisions you're facing.
Now, none of this is possible without a good foundation, right? The 1-Hour Guide by Anil Nathir talks about the importance of data architecture.
Oh, absolutely. That's the bedrock. You need a solid data infrastructure to make any of this work. That means systems that can integrate data from different sources, robust AI and machine learning models, and often leveraging cloud computing for all the storage and processing power you'll need. Without that, your DI tools won't be able to deliver reliable insights.
It's like building a house. You can't just start putting up walls without a strong foundation.
Exactly.
The guide spends some time exploring the differences between how humans and machines make decisions. What are some of the key strengths and weaknesses you noticed on each side?
The guide points out that humans are great at intuition, that gut feeling that comes from experience. We're also creative and can take ethical implications into consideration. And we're good at handling ambiguity and adapting to changes on the fly.
We're flexible.
Right. However, we're also prone to biases. We can be inconsistent in our decision-making, and our emotions can sometimes lead us astray. Machines, on the other hand, are incredibly fast and accurate when it comes to processing data.
So they bring the speed and accuracy to the table.
Yeah. And assuming their data is unbiased, they're not swayed by emotions. But they do have limitations. They lack that human creativity. They don't really grasp ethical nuances, and they struggle to adapt to situations they haven't specifically been trained for.
Okay, so both sides have their pluses and minuses, and the guide goes even deeper, exploring the reasons behind some of our human decision-making quirks, right?
Yeah. It touches on behavioral economics, looking at those common cognitive biases that can trip us up. Things like confirmation bias, where we seek out information that confirms our existing beliefs, or availability bias, where we overestimate the likelihood of things that easily come to mind. Understanding those biases is essential for designing better decision-making systems.
I can definitely see how that would be useful. And the guide also traces the evolution of machine decision-making, from basic systems to the sophisticated AI we have today.
Exactly. It talks about how we move from rule-based systems and algorithms to expert systems that try to replicate human reasoning, and finally to the AI-powered systems we have now, which use machine learning and deep learning to learn from data.
It's like that famous example of teaching a dog with treats. You give them a treat when they do the right thing, and over time, they learn. That's kind of like supervised learning, where you train the AI with labeled data.
It's a good analogy.
Mm.
And at the end of the day, it's not about machines replacing humans. It's about figuring out how they can work together most effectively.
It's a partnership, not a takeover.
Precisely. And that's the heart of what the guide emphasizes.
So what are some of the systems and technologies that we actually use when we're talking about implementing DI in an organization?
Well, the guide stresses that it's important to view an organization as a system itself. And when it comes to decision-making, that system has inputs like data and expert opinions, a processing stage where the analysis happens, and outputs, which are the decisions themselves.
Right, kind of like a flay chart.
Yeah, it's a good way to think about it. And the guide also talks about how decisions are made in different environments. Some are very structured with clear rules, others are very open-ended, and most fall somewhere in between. The environment plays a big role in how DI is applied.
And despite all this technology, the human element is still crucial, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. The 1-Hour Guide by Anil Nathir stresses that you still need your decision makers, your data analysts, and your subject matter experts. And then it dives into some of the specific technologies behind DI, like AutoML. It's essentially AI helping build other AI models.
Wow, so meta.
Right. Makes things much faster and more accessible.
And there are even dedicated software systems for DI, right?
Yes, the guide mentions decision support systems, or DSS, which are designed to help organizations make data-driven choices. And it also talks about intelligent agents, which are AI systems that operate somewhat independently to assist in decision-making.
Like digital helpers.
Exactly. The guide even breaks down the different kinds of intelligent agents. Finally, it touches on recommender systems like those you see on Netflix or Amazon. They offer personalized suggestions, and they're increasingly being used in the business intelligence world.
It sounds like a lot of moving parts. And that brings us to the idea of a DI framework, right? The guide makes a strong case for having one.
For sure. A DI framework offers a systematic approach to ensure that decisions are not only data-driven, but also consistent and informed. It helps organizations avoid fragmented strategies, poorly assessed risks, and wasted resources. The One-Hour Guide by Anil Nathu emphasizes that a crucial first step is deciding how to decide. Basically, figuring out what kind of decision you're dealing with and what the best approach is for that situation.
Okay, so before you even start making the decision, you're making a decision about how you're going to make the decision.
Right, it's about having a clear roadmap.
And the One-Hour Guide by Neil Nathu itself actually provides a 7-step framework, right? What are the steps?
Yeah, it does. Step one is all about setting key goals. What do you want to achieve? And how does that align with your broader strategy? Step two is defining the decision. What are the boundaries, the limitations? Who are the stakeholders? How much AI involvement do you want? Step three is rating decisions based on their importance and complexity. Step four is prioritizing and classifying those decisions and deciding on the right mix of people intelligence and AI. Step five is formulating the implementation strategy, which includes an action plan, resource allocation, risk management, and timelines. Step six is all about implementing the strategy, deploying those AI tools, coordinating with everyone involved, and getting the ball rolling. And finally, step seven is evaluating the strategy. How did it work out? What feedback can you gather? What can be improved? Do your AI models need retraining?
It's a very comprehensive and logical process, and the guide offers even more specific advice for organizations looking to embrace DI, doesn't it?
It does. The One-Hour Guide by Anil Nathu suggests starting small with pilot projects. Build some confidence, learn as you go. It's also crucial to have a clear business case that outlines the potential return on investment. It also recommends making DI a strategic priority with buy-in from leadership. And of course, you need to invest in building the necessary infrastructure and skills, including training your employees to use the new DI tools.
So it's not just about buying software and hoping for the best.
No, it's a much more holistic approach. It's about building a data-driven culture where everyone understands the value of DI and how to use it effectively.
This deep dive into the One-Hour Guide by Anil Nathu has been so insightful. I feel like I have a much better grasp of what decision intelligence is all about, why it's important, and how it can be applied. What are your final takeaways?
For me, the big takeaway is that DI is all about empowering humans to make better decisions. It's not about replacing human judgment, it's about augmenting it.
So what are some key things our listeners should think about as they walk away from this episode?
Think about where in your own professional life a more data-driven approach to decision-making could be beneficial. Where are you relying too much on gut feeling? Where could you benefit from more data-driven insights?
Great advice. Maybe even consider which aspect of DI resonates with you the most. Is it the collaboration between humans and AI? Is it the ethical considerations? Digging deeper into those areas might spark some aha moments. Thank you for joining us today. Buy the book at the One-Hour Guide website for more business insights.